Good morning, everybody. We are Independent Academy teacher in المهيرات 10th grade, Unit 2. I'm writing to say our lesson is about reading after the acting. Okay, to revise you, open your student book on page 18 and 19. Open your student book on page 18 and 19. In the last lesson, we talked about this letter. And what kind of this letter? Did you remember? Yes, it's formal letter. How do you know it's formal? Because of the title of recipient and here, the address of recipient, and here the title of the recipient, and here your sincerely ends with your sincerely, and the full name Natasha Sims, and the complete sentences here, and has no short forms, and has block paragraphs, and we talked about in the last lesson. And in this, inshallah, in our lesson today, we will discuss and read the second letter, and it is informal, it's scripture. And look, before we start, who can tell me who wrote this letter? Who wrote this letter? Yes, it is Natasha Sims. Natasha Sims. What is Natasha Sims' address? What is Natasha Sims' address? Yes, the center address is here. Yes, very good. This is the center address, and this is the center address. So, what is the center address, or what is Natasha's address? Yes, it is 314 Ocean Avenue, apartment 109, Bay City 9967 and 1. And what is the date of this letter? It's the 22nd of October. This is great job. And who can tell me what's the recipient address? Or who is the recipient? Who is the recipient? Yes, he's Professor Barnes. He is Professor Barnes. And what is Professor Barnes' address? Yes, here is the formal letter, and we talked about that the recipient address is put here, above here, okay? And don't forget that. What is again the professor address? The recipient address is Department of Archaeology and Ancient History, University of the North, Newcastle. And who is the recipient? Yes, he is Professor Barnes. And in the formal letter, we put the title of the recipient. What is the title of this recipient? Is Professor. Very good, Professor Barnes. And it's in with you sincerely. It's formally. It is formally. Formally, with you sincerely, and here. Look at here, and we talked about in the last lesson. Now, today, inshallah, let's listen to this letter and the second letter to make it clear, teacher. Okay? Let's listen. Together.
Unit 2, pages 18 and 19. Reading.
After the Arts Day, 314 Ocean Avenue, apartment 109, Bay City 99671. The 22nd of October. Professor D. Barnes, Department of Archaeology and Ancient History, University of the North, Newcastle. Dear Professor Barnes, I am writing to thank you very much for allowing us to reproduce the photographs of your ancient British treasure trove on our festival DVD. As these artifacts have never been publicly displayed, we are most grateful to you for allowing us to include these unique images. Your contribution has made our DVD of special interest to many people. We have just held an Arts Day in the college during which the DVD was launched. One of the exhibitions set up for the day was a photographic gallery with pictures taken by Lucy Duval. The collection included some of the objects you showed during your talk on art and archaeology, and these are on the I am sending you the festival DVD with this letter, and I hope you will agree that Lucy's photographs enhance the fine quality and beauty of the objects themselves. I am also sending a newspaper cutting of a report on the Arts Day, which I hope you will find interesting. As you will see from the report, many people made very positive comments about the last festival, which we found very encouraging. We are keen to organise another festival for next year, and we are already thinking of how we can make it bigger and better. We are planning to produce a festival programme illustrated in full colour, giving information about all the events and contributors. As one of our literature events, we are thinking about early writing and handwriting as an art form. On behalf of the Festival Committee, I would like to ask you if you would be willing to contribute to our next festival. We understand that you have a special interest in early forms of writing from around the world, and we would like to invite you to give a talk on that subject. We would also like to ask you if you would write an introduction to the festival programme. As a main contributor to our first festival, we feel sure that people will be interested to read your thoughts about the second one. Should you feel able to respond to our requests, we would be delighted to hear from you. Thank you again for all your support and encouragement during the last year. Yours sincerely, Natasha Sims.
56 Central Street, Apartment 2, Bay City 99604, the 24th of October. Dear Lee, I'm sending this letter to the Panda Conservation Base Camp and hope that you'll get it when you're back from your field trip. How's it all going? I know you've always wanted to get involved in environmental protection, so I hope this work experience is living up to your expectations. I'd love to hear about it. I thought you'd like to know that we've created a DVD of the festival, and I've enclosed your free copy. Tasha, efficient as ever, has sent one to your father as well, and thanked him again for sponsoring the absolutely sensational fireworks. We were all bowled over by his generosity. There's a great video clip of the display on the disc. I hope you'll be able to look at it. I assume you've got laptops at the base camp. In case you haven't, Lucy printed off one of her photographs. I think it's one of her best. It looks as if a giant hand has scattered fistfuls of colored lights across the sky. She also printed off the enclosed photo of a panda. Knowing how rare they are now, she was a bit concerned that you might not have seen any. She thought you could pin this one up on the wall, just to remind you what you're looking for. I've developed quite a passion for pyrotechnics since the summer, by the way. I suppose there are whole factories in China that are devoted to producing all kinds of different fireworks. I'd really like to know how they are designed and made. I know I'm meant to be keeping my mind on chemistry so that I can study to be a doctor instead of learning how to blow things up, but I'm intrigued by the colors and shapes that explode in the sky like vast scintillating jewels breaking apart. Phenomenal! Perhaps I'll be able to visit one day and find out how it's all done. We've just had a committee meeting for the next festival. Yes, we've decided to take the plunge again. We're thinking about including writing as an art form. I remember you saying once that your father is an enthusiastic amateur calligrapher. I mentioned this at our meeting, and the others took a fancy to the idea of inviting him to demonstrate his calligraphy at our next festival. Could you let us know if you think he'd be up for it? We'd like to have displays of different writing, but if we could show some calligraphy actually being done, that would be even better. We're going to see if we can get Arabic, Georgian, Japanese, and Thai calligraphers too. I better get on with a bit of revision now. We've got a test at the end of the week. Some things never change. Best wishes from everyone here.
After we listened to that both of the letters as a revision, let's revise our lesson here. And we talked about here, who can tell me who wrote this letter? Yes, Natasha Sims wrote this letter. And what is Natasha Sims' address? Yes, don't forget that the address, yes, this is the sender address. So this is the sender address. So this is the sender address, 314 Ocean Avenue, apartment 109, Bay City 9967 and 1. And who can tell me what was the date of this letter? It is that's 22nd of October. Yes, great job. And we talked about the recipient. Who can tell me who was the recipient? Yes, he was Professor D. Barnes. Professor D. Barnes. And what is the Professor Barnes or the recipient address? What is the recipient address? Yes, here there is the recipient address, and just in the formal letter we write the recipient address. Who can tell me what is the recipient address again? At Department of Archaeology and Ancient History, University of the North, Newcastle. And here we talked about the formal letter, and we talked about his block paragraphs and complete sentences here. and we has no short forms, ما بنستخدم teacher الاختصارات. كمان حكينا has block paragraphs, and we talked about use the title of the recipient اللي بنستخدم اللي هو professor here, the title of the recipient. Very good. And yours sincerely, it ends formally. Greets with the title of the recipient and ends formally with like this, yours sincerely, like this. And here we talked about Natasha Sims wrote this letter to thanks. Very good. To thank Natasha Sims. Why Natasha Sims wrote this letter? She wrote this letter to thank Professor Barnes very much about allowing to reproduce the photographs of his ancient British treasure. And we talked about what's the meaning of British treasure. What's the meaning of British treasure? Yes, British treasure اللي هي الكنز الدفين بسميه بالإنجليش اللي هو a collection of valuable things. بسميه a collection of valuable things that is discovered. اللي بسميه كنز دفين in Arabic. And we talked about how pretty were these photographs here, including طبعا حكينا كمان. We talked about who can tell me what did Natasha send to Professor Barnes? Yes, she sent two things. What are the two things? What were the two things that Natasha sent to Professor Barnes? Yes, she sent, very good, a DVD, the visitable DVD, and she sent newspaper cutting of report of Arts Day. The newspaper cutting of the report on the Arts Day. And we talked about something did Natasha ask to do to Professor Barnes to do. حكينا أشياء سألته إذا كان يقدر يعملهم اللي حكينا willing to contribute to contribute. Very good. Their next vegetable حتى يكون to contribute يساهم بالnext vegetable as a main contributor like the first one. And we talked about something else, yes, about writing art, and this writing art that Professor Barnes is interested about it. So the committee, in behalf of the visitable committee, again, what's the meaning of behalf? Yes, behalf instead of someone اللي هي بدل من in behalf of visitable committee, instead of someone. Great job. Behalf. And we talked about she asked him to give a talk about the subject about writing art. Very good, because Professor Barnes is interested about writing, and he knows a lot about writing all over the world. And here she asked him to to what? To write the introduction. حتى يكتب a teacher the introduction to the visitable committee. The introduction to the visitable program. Ask him to write the introduction to the visitable program. Here. And here is it, the picture of the Bay City Art Festival. And here is the dancer, and here is the artifact was shown in the art festival. And here she again at the end of the letter she thanked him again about his support and encouragement during the last year, during the last festival or the last year. And here ends formally with your sincerely, Natasha Sims. Now look at the second one, the second letter. Look at the second letter. Who can tell me? Who wrote this letter? Who wrote this letter? Yes, it's Todd. How do we know is it Todd? How do we know it is Todd? طلع يا teacher كيف عرفنا إنه Todd? Yes, here. Very good. Todd. Great job. Todd. Who wrote this? Yes, great job. Todd. And look here. Look at this letter. What do you think? It's formal or informal? Yes, it's informal letter. How do you know it's informal? كيف عرفنا يا teacher إنها غير رسمية? Here. The. Very good. The sender address. هون موجود عندنا sender address. Great job. And like the formal letter, زي الformal letter. How do you know it isn't informal? Formal. Yes. Dearly. Yes. It's greeting by using the first name. Greeting by using the first name. اللي هو كتب التحية بالإيش يا teacher؟ بالfirst name. بالاسم الشخص. To whom sent this letter? Yes. The recipient is Lee. The recipient is Lee. Can you see the recipient address here? Can you see the recipient address here? No, we can't see any address here. So in the informal letter, we cannot write the recipient address. ما بنكتب يا teacher اللي هو عنوان المرسل إليه. So who sent again this letter? Yes, who wrote and sent this letter? Yes, Todd sent this letter to Lee. Very good, to Lee. The recipient is Lee. So look at here, and here the photograph, the paragraph, there has no block paragraph here. This letter has no paragraph here, block paragraph. So it's write randomly as he like. بيكتب teacher بشكل عشوائي as he like. There is a lot here of sentences, and they are not complete sentences. And there is here a questions, and then there are a lot of questions. And here has short forms. Has short forms. كمان فيها teacher so short forms. كمان راح نتعلم اليوم إشي جديد بس نقرأ راح أشرح لك إياه. Look at here. Look here. Yes, there are pictures. Very good. There are two pictures here. Todd sent to Lee. أرسلهم Todd للي. اللي هو هون. What are they here? What is this? Yes, it's the firework. What do you mean of firework? اللي هي ألعاب نارية. Very good. Fireworks. And here, what is it? Yes, it is panda. Yes, great. It is panda, and he is rare animal. And he is a rare animal. What do you mean of rare? Now, teacher, let's read and explain together. Let's read and explain together. Look at here. Look, dear Lee, I'm sending this letter to the Panda Conservation Base Camp and hope that you will get it when you're back from your field trip. Look at here. I'm sending this letter. Where did Todd send this letter? Where did Todd send this letter? Yes, great. To the Panda Conservation. What's the meaning of Panda Conservation? What's the meaning of conservation? To the Panda Conservation Base Camp. Great job. Again, Todd sent this letter to the Panda Conservation Base Camp. Very good. And he hoped that اللي هي teacher what make of conservation before explain the complete of the sentence. Conservation محمية, very good. That's mean محمية. In Arabic, in English, what's the meaning of conversation? Conservation. Look at the meaning. Conservation, the protection of nature. اللي هي محمية طبيعية. The protection of nature, and it is noun, very good, and it is now again. What is the meaning of conservation? The protection, again, the protection of nature. Great job. The protection of nature, again, the protection اللي هي محمية طبيعية. The protection of nature. Of nature. Again, where's Lee? Yes, where was Lee? Lee was at the panda conservation base camp. So why? What do you think? Look at the next one. Why did he go to the panda conservation base camp? What do you think? ليش يا teacher ليه ذهب إلى conservation base camp? Look at here. Hope that you get when you're back from your field trip. So this is a field trip. What's the meaning of field trip? What's the meaning of field trip? Let's see together. The field trip, a visit, اللي هي عبارة رحلة ميدانية بسبب للدراسة. Very good. رحلة ميدانية. What do you mean of field trip? رحلة ميدانية. Look at here. Visits made by students to study something away from their school or college. So Lee went to this panda conservation to make the field trip. What mean again of field trip? اللي هي رحلة ميدانية. A visit made by students to study something away from their school. بيدرسوا إشي teacher away بعيدا عن مدرستهم اللي هو بسميه field trip. Again field trip اللي هي رحلة ميدانية. So Lee was here in the panda conservation base camp to make field trip. Again, what's the meaning of field trip? Field trip, a visit that students made to study something away from their college or their school. Great job. And how is it going? Look at this question. He asked him informally, very good, بشكل غير رسمي. She asked him, how's great. This is short form of what? Contraction of is. Very good. How's all going? How's all going? كيف تسير معك الأمور? Very good. I know you've always wanted to get involved in environmental protection. So I hope this work experience is living up to your expectations. Look at here. And he asked him about how is going. Very good. How was all this going? And I know you've just look at here. This is a short form. You have always always wanted to get involved in the environmental protection. He is interested in environmental protection. What do you mean of environmental? Environmental BE. Very good. What is kind of this word? Yes, adjective. What is the word class? He adjective. Environmental protection. Yes, noun. اللي هي حماية الطبيعة. Very good. حماية طبيعية. Adjective and protection. This is noun. Environmental protection. So I hope this work experience is living up. طبعا this experience he طبعا look at here. Todd hope that this work experience is living up. What do you mean of living up to? Living up to your expectations. What do you mean of expectations? Expectation to